I've got this very light kind of lavenderish colour. So what I'm going to do is roll some of that out. Now, what I'm actually going to do is just get it onto a roller. In fact, yeah, let's just get it onto a roller. So we can use a small roller for this if we're just going to roll ink onto stamps. So here I'm not necessarily looking for an even colour there, I'm looking for an even-ish colour on the roller here so that I can roll these shapes, ink onto these shapes. Now, bear in mind this is going to print the opposite way around. So we need to roll the ink onto the side that's going to press into the paper. So it's all going to come out back to front basically. Right, you want a good amount of ink on this. You can go a little bit thicker, partly because we're going to be rolling it, putting it onto dry ink, which needs a little bit more anyway, and partly because we're putting it onto stencil card, which has then got to transfer onto a print. So you've kind of got another part of the process. So I've got my kind of triangle shape there, and I've also got this long thin shape that I'm going to roll that ink onto as well. Okay, right. So the way I do this is, so I want that shape to be there. So I'm actually going to have to put it here. Okay. And then I'm just going to place the paper. This is not a precise art, as you can see. I'm going to place the paper over the shape. Now I quite like this part of the shape to kind of echo this line here. So I'm going to try and get it vaguely near to there. There we go. Right, now I'm going to press that on. Okay. Just going to use a little bit of scrap paper in case it rips, to then really press with the Baron. Now, because this is going wet ink onto dry ink, it can be a bit faint. You might have to print again, we'll see. Let's see. Oh, there's a little hair on there. Okay, so as you can see, that actually hasn't printed very strongly at all, and that's because it is going on to a dry, darker print. So what we'll do is we'll roll that ink on again and we'll try again, and we can build up layers of ink, so that's no problem. It has got rather a nice texture to it though, so it'd be quite nice to keep that if we can. So you can hear that sort of hiss almost of the ink. That means there's a lot of ink on there, more than I would normally put on. Now what I'm going to do to make sure it's absolutely in the right place, I am going to place this onto the original shape. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it on when I gently flip it over. It is best to burnish the paper side rather than push in this particular instance. Okay, I'm going to try and do without scrap paper this time, just see if I can burnish it by hand without the scrap paper. Okay, flip it over, it's pretty much stuck to the paper now. Okay, now that's come out a little bit better, hasn't it? Got a bit more brightness there, and I kind of like that colour there as well, echoing the line. So let's try our long thin piece as well now. I remember where I wanted this. I think I'm going to have it going over these lines here. Now again, it's likely that we're going to need to do this twice. Let's have a look and see if it's printed. Oops, moved a little bit. Oh, okay. Not bad, but I think I'm just going to do one more layer of ink onto that. That really nice and bright. Now that's going to stay on there. There we go. And we can just flip it over and burnish onto the back of the paper. There we go.